So it is the night before our Doman appointment to the splash pad. We forgot his ears, or his ear defenders. Dad went back home. He had to run and get something, so he's gonna grab those, but we don't have much time left. The splash pad closes soon, but I wanted him to have, to burn off some energy so he can have a good night's sleep tonight. When I get home, I'm going to be tidying up and making sure I have all my materials together for our first appointment. We actually have 2 appointments tomorrow. One is the history and the other one is the summary. So I'm just going to enjoy spending some time with Z right now. And yeah, I'm super excited. I can't believe this appointment has come so fast. I feel like it's what we need. We're ready to dive right into programs. He's doing so well as it is right now. I know getting some new programs in where it's just going to take us to that new level. So we did a foot bath today and, you know, had a good dinner, went and did a little bit of grocery shopping. And yeah, so tonight it's just getting the house in order, getting little Z down for a nap, or not a nap, a good night's sleep, and we'll take it from there. So I will keep you posted tomorrow after our appointment to let you know how things went. Did we forget your ears? Daddy's gonna bring your ears when he comes. Don't drink it. Okay, so Z is sleeping. Wes is down. He has camp tomorrow. And now I have to get the kitchen clean and try to get this place tidied up. I don't know. I feel like my whole house should be clean for these appointments this week. And I mean, ideally in the perfect world, they would be. But then again, I know I'm probably just going to be sitting in front of a computer. But then I think, well, what if they need to see him do something and my house is messy? And I mean, it's not bad. I just feel a little self-conscious. So I am going to tidy up and then I'm going to show you the stuff that I gather for, like we're supposed to have some materials to do some of the assessments. So I'm going to gather those up and I really should have done that today. And I don't know why I waited till now when it's like, what time is it? It is like 9:30 on a Sunday. So everything's closed. But I mean, if I do need something small from like the dollar store or whatever, our appointment's not till 10. So I can grab Z. They open at 8 or 9. I think 8. I'll have to check that. And I'll just grab what we need, but we have time. It's down the street. It's like a 2-minute drive. So I am going to make sure that Wes's stuff is ready for camp for tomorrow because he's leaving at 8. And then we will make sure we have everything we need. So I'm just gonna go and do some cleaning. Okay, good morning, everybody. I am just finishing up. I'm getting Z fed. Usually I intermittent fast. So I typically don't start eating till about 10:30, but this morning I woke up just famished and I know we have our appointment starting at 10 and I don't want to try to fix food or even snacking during that time. I really want to be focused and I want to be fresh mind. I didn't sleep well last night. I was getting some documents printed out and stuff, and then my printer decided that it needs all new drums and ink, and I was kind of in a position before that, the ink was expensive, but it lasted a while, so it made sense to keep using the machine. And it's quite an expensive machine. I actually, when we started the program in 2017, when we got our official program from the Institute, my printer died. It absolutely died. And I had spent a bunch of money on our assessments and travel and this, that, and the other, and I had to come up with money to buy another printer. So I bought what I thought was a really good printer. And it is a really good printer, and it prints fast. And I mean, there's some quirks about it that I'm like, if I could do it again, maybe I wouldn't get that one. But it trudged through for 2 years, and now it's telling me it needs new drums. And I didn't understand that laser printers, those pieces break down and you need new drums. So when I looked on, I usually get my ink from inksuperstore.ca. And when I looked on there, the drums were gonna cost me like $100 and something, I think, and then the ink was another $100, and I'm like, my goodness, for $200 I'll just like, so I started researching printers last night, which was a absolute rabbit hole when you're trying to find out which one can I get generic ink for the cheapest, and the printer I want is out of stock, like they don't make it anymore. So I went down this rabbit hole, and I never look for ink on Amazon because it had always been more expensive, or toner, not ink, toner. So I never looked for toner online since I bought the printer on Amazon. And I went and I looked at the toner prices, and I'm like, I'm gonna look to see how much the drums are. Well, the drums were like $30, $40 cheaper on Amazon. And then suddenly the ink started popping up, and I have been in a hole, apparently, overpaying for my ink. Thank goodness I haven't been buying as much ink because we had taken a break from the program. So the ink that I have in has been in there a long time. But now, looking at that and the significant price drop, like I think I was paying $99 for one of each color and the black. And I can get, for $55, one of each color and like 3 of the blacks. So I realized at this point, after spending 2 hours when I should have been sleeping researching printers, that I am just going to keep my printer. I'm going to buy the drums on Amazon, and it's I think $79. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. So it's cheaper than me buying a new printer, and now that I can find the ink significantly cheaper. So that was kind of like, yeah, I stayed up till like 2 in the morning to discover this. And so it's been a little tougher to get up this morning, but Z is up, raring to go. He's eating his breakfast, running like a maniac. He's still in his jammies. I'm going to probably let him eat his breakfast. I'm going to whip up some eggs. I had a Built Bar this morning. I'm going to whip up some eggs for myself, and then maybe give him, half an hour to run outside before we start our appointment. I will have to get him dressed, but I may just have him go outside in his PJs, get his PJs dirty, and then change him into his day clothes. That's probably more effective, because he's probably gonna, I'll put clean clothes on him, take him outside for half an hour, and have to put clean clothes on him again. So I think that's what we're gonna do. Is that right? I don't know. I just know I caught up on laundry this weekend, and if I can try to keep it a little more low key, I will. So I was just going through our profile and getting that all out. So when I talk to whichever staff member I'll be talking to, that I have that information. I also got some of our blood tests that I think there was 1 or 2 that I didn't get a chance to send, so I want to make sure I have that. So that'll be it. I will let you know how it goes. I'll update you afterwards, and let you know how the day goes. So wish me luck. Okay, so we just ran to Walmart and got a bunch of duo tangs, and well, these are for the big kids, some scribblers and some markers, but we got a bunch of duo tangs for homemade books. Okay, so I've got a few minutes to chit chat. I had to run to Fresh Go quickly and grab some chicken to make some supper. But our appointments went great today. We met with Yeti, and I'm so sorry, hon, if I'm saying your name wrong. Oh, I feel awful. I'm terrible at names. I can barely say my own name. But she was just the sweetest, and she was great with Z too. Like, even when I never know how to discipline when I'm in front of new people or people assessing. So I always try to like be firm, but like at a certain point, Z knows how to play me too, like when we're in new situations like that. So she was really good though. She called him to the computer screen and reminded him that we were discussing him and getting his program in place, and he needed to, you know, stop being naughty or he was going to get a timeout. And he tested one more time, and I sent him to his room until he was ready to behave. He came out nicely, and he asked to watch a video, and I put a movie on for him, and he was good. He's just not used to, when I'm sitting at the computer, usually he can come by and sit down and we do some of his music lessons, and you know, he wasn't getting the attention today, and he was trying to get it, and so I was really glad that I didn't have to, like, you know, sugarcoat things. I could just discipline him and move along. So that went really well. We discovered that he's reading at a probably an 8 to 9-year-old level. We're both suspecting higher, but it's harder to test for that, and we didn't want to push him. So it'll be interesting to see what his reading program looks like, because she mentioned something about moving away from like a learning to read, because he's clearly able to learn to, he's learned to read, but moving into a like homeschool curriculum through them, like just work. I'm not entirely sure if they're going to give me a curriculum to follow or if they're going to show me how to use their program in a homeschool curriculum. I'm curious to see. We'll find out later in the week. Z would not read out loud. He was fighting me from his commercial book, but I pulled out an old one of his old homemade books that he hadn't seen in a long time, and it was about the human brain, and he loves body parts, but she just said, like, show it to him, and so she could see him looking at it, and you could tell he was reading it in his head. And then afterwards she had me write some questions like directly related to the content and indirectly related. So the book was about the brain, and in a part of it, it mentioned, for example, that the brain looks like a walnut shell. And so I gave him a choice board that said, and I said to him, what nut does the brain look like? And I had walnut and peanut, and he immediately picked walnut. And then he went on, and I asked him for his indirect, like one of the indirect questions, is this book about organs, or is it about plants? And what is the topic of the book? And he immediately picked organs. And so he was representing that he was comprehending and that he was reading some of the material. Hopefully, we believe that he was reading all of it, but definitely some of it, and was comprehending what he read. So that was kind of really cool to see. It's a fun way to kind of, Glenn Doman talks about not testing, but there are times where you need to see if they're getting and understanding what they're learning. So that was really cool. We also talked about some of his eating habits, and we discussed that it's probably a mixture of health issues, so like the yeast that's in his gut that we're working on clearing out, and different things like that, and also a sensory issue, and that they go hand in hand. So once we start dealing with the sensory issue and like the gut issues or the physiological issues, some of this stuff should start self-correcting. So that was really neat to see or to talk about, and they seemed very open to the idea of us continuing to see the chiropractor, which is awesome. And they were also very how do I put, I don't know, I just got a different sense this time around. Like, we've always been with the Institute, and so this is our first time really, like, since they've split, I have been leaning towards, like, Doman, the Doman method and Doman International, and when I have some, questions or inquiries, I'm always checking out the Q&As, and I've been working with sharing about their online program, which apparently started this week. When you see this video, it'll be next week. So you guys are awesome. You have such amazing information at your fingertips. Sorry, squirrel up here. I can't stay on track. But I just heard some great things that it's going to be, I think there's 50 people in the course, and that's just amazing. You guys are going to build like amazing friendships. But anyhow, all that aside, we just had, we were able to assess C and see where he is and get to know, like, he's moved up on a few places, in at least one or two that I know of for sure. He's moved up in the development chart, and I will show that to you guys when I get it. There was a few assessments that I had to do with him that I knew he wouldn't respond well being videotaped because he was going to be kind of goofy. So we did those later on. So you saw me this morning, and then you saw us at the chiropractor. Zakari he always goes on those, like, the vibrating floor before his adjustment, even though you're supposed to do it after, but he doesn't really need it, but it's beneficial to him. So we went there, and then we went to Walmart, and then we came home, and then we did the assessments then. So I checked him I had a heck of a time checking his light, like whether his pupils, his light reflex. He was stubborn. He'd press those eyes shut, but he definitely, his pupils were getting smaller. I couldn't make them get bigger though, because every time I'd turn the light back on, his eyes were closed. It was just, he was not cooperating, but we got the information that we needed from it. We checked his vital response, and I'm not sure. I sent the results of what I saw, and so I'm curious to see what she says about that. He responded, and then you're only supposed to really respond once, and he responded in a way that, like, basically I was banging 2 pots and pans to surprise him. And so he startled like anybody would. But the thing is, you're supposed to realize, okay, that's not a danger anymore. And so his reactions were getting less. So I'm curious to see if they were low enough to considered perfect on that level. What else did we test? Oh yes, we tested his hot and cold. He definitely responds to hot and cold. He responds to pain, and he responds to the reflex on the bottom of the foot. I don't have my papers here, and I'm Babinski reflex. So he, instead of like a baby will curl up their feet when you hit that reflex, and we will push our feet out, and that helps us crawl and creep. So he has those reflexes, so that was fine. And we also had to test his dominant eye, so I had to give him like a paper towel roll and see which one he preferred to look out of. The first time he looked, I was supposed to do it 3 times, but I ended up doing it 4 because I wanted to confirm. So he went and he looked out of the left eye the first time. And then the second time he looked through the middle. And then, so I got him to do it a 3rd time, and he used the right. So he was just testing to see which one worked better for him. So the 4th time I gave it to him, he immediately brought it to the right. The other thing I had to test with him today was his tactile reflexes. So we had to see if he could tell the difference between us hard and soft just by feeling. He did excellent. And then the 6, so that was level 5. So for level 6, he had to tell the difference between 2 coins. And now he didn't call them the right names, but he consistently called them those specific names. So I didn't know how to feel about that, so I went on to level 7 anyhow, and I decided I was going to let the staff do what they want with that. I believe he could tell the difference between them. He was just mislabeling them, but I'm going to let them call that. And because when I did step 7, which was to feel the difference between a paper clip and a safety pin, he was able to do this. So if you're not familiar with these kind of reflex tests, they can be found in the How Smart Is Your Baby book. And don't feel that just because of the title of that book that it's not useful. It is definitely useful to test your children's senses to see if they are missing any. Z has some convergence issues, so where he has trouble using his 2 eyes together, and just because of his age, he should be higher in that area, but he's not, although he is reading. So it's okay to have functionals in some lower areas that are not perfect, in some areas where you still have some ability further up, but it basically, I'm rambling. Basically, it's really good to know so you can work on those lower areas that may have a little gap, because they will, once those are mastered or improved, then you can improve the higher functions. So if you want to know more about that, check out Glenn Doman's How Smart Is Your Baby, What to Do About Your Brain Injured Child. There it explains it much better than I can in this video. So I did all of those, and was that it? I really should have brought my notes, but this is just a few moments I have in the car. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was about it. We used the choice board to make sure that he wasn't, because sometimes he'll just say a word, but the choice board, he is picking which word he means to say. And so he did fantastic with that. So we have tomorrow off. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do. We might be going for a play date. But anyhow, we have tomorrow off, so we won't be doing any Doman related stuff. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll be getting our programs and talking to different staff members. I talked to Rosalind today. That was our second appointment, and we went over our goals. Not goals, but what I'm looking for. What are my concerns from a parent's perspective? And I felt like such a dummy. What is the one thing all autistic parents, maybe not all autistic parents, but a lot of autistic parents, ones that have kids that are not speaking properly, the thing they want is language. And I don't know if it's just because Z and I have such a good connection, and I can understand a lot of what he's requesting. Obviously, I'd love to have intellectual conversations with him, like I did my other kids, finding out what his dreams are, and but my primary concern when I was asked this question was, my mama instinct said, I want to learn how to get proper food in his belly, because there's something preventing him, either sensory or physiologically, from eating properly. I mean, compared to a lot of kids with autism, he does have a better diet, but it's not where we need it to be for him to be his best self. So that was one of my concerns. Another concern was his impulsivity, which has also improved significantly, but he still could be a danger to himself. And so that was a main concern. And socializing. I wanted him to have relationships with people and be able to handle being in crowds, and being able to his sensory wouldn't overtake his social. He wants to be social, but sometimes it's difficult for him. I talked about wanting him to be able to open Christmas presents with his cousins on Christmas Eve without being so overstimulated he couldn't do it. So those are things that I wanted for him. And then Rosalind was trying to was there anything else? Would you? And I'm well, those are my primary. And then she asked me, well, what are your concerns? What are your thoughts about his language? Do you have any concerns there? And I know she didn't mean to make me feel anyway. She was guiding me to remind me. And that's what's really important. They're there to guide you, the staff, and help you figure out your goals. So I was grateful, but I was sitting there, I'm like, oh my goodness, most people with children with autism that don't talk fluently, that is the #1 goal. And I guess because Zachary has a dual diagnosis and his ADHD takes over a lot, it is more of a problem than his autism, that language wasn't there. Or maybe I was correlating it with socialization and sensory, I don't know. But I was just like, oh my gosh, of course I want him to talk. And like, he wants to talk, and I want to give him the voice so he has a say, and he is a human being and a person. And so I'm glad that she was there to be a voice for him to say, hey, like, what are your thoughts on language? So basically, she informed me that we are going to be probably paired up again with Spencer as our staff coach, and which is great because we had Spencer at the Institute, and I've kept in touch with him over the last couple of years, just with any, like, you know, quick questions, like things like that. So, and I'm always trying to follow his Q&As and stuff like that because he's such a wealth of it. They're all a wealth of information, but I think because Spencer has been with us since the beginning, back when I went and took the What to Do About Your Brain Injured Child course, I was really glad to hear that, although I would have trusted any of them. So he's going to be our staff coach, and we are going to be meeting with a bunch of different staff to go over different programs. They are meeting tomorrow on our day off. They don't get the day off. They are meeting and coming up with a plan for Z, which I am so excited for. And I know he's excited to get started too. So this video has gone on long enough, but I just wanted to, I know in the past when I've gone to the What to Do About Your Brain Injured Child course, or to the lecture series 2 and did the assessment out there, I wanted to do these videos and I just never did them because I just felt overwhelmed. And I think being at home in my own environment, like literally we finished and I'm like, okay guys, okay buddy, let's go to Dollar Tree. And we went to Dollar Tree, and then we took him to the chiropractor, and we went to the grocery store, and I was in my home turf, and I had my way to decompress that way. Came home, Z has his tutor there. He's not out of whack. He's not in his mode where we're not at home. He's got what he needs, and he's staying on routine. So it allows me to come and do these videos because I want to record this. And even if nobody ever watched this video, I want this for me to know where we came from, because I'm so committed to this. I had that last year of ABA in the back of my mind, and do we finish it? Do we leave it? And I really wish we had left it, but I mean, hindsight's 50-50, hindsight's 20-20, whatever. Apparently I'm tired. Like I mentioned earlier, I stayed up all night researching printers. So yeah, I'm going to end this video, but I'm just going to say I'm committed to this. There is nothing else left for us here. There are no other programs for us to do with him. This is it, and we are committing to it. And he has come a long, long way. And I know if we put our full attention on this, we're going to come even further. I hope the rain is not distracting in this video. It's just beautiful, actually. It's really nice that it's not so hot anymore. But yeah, so we're going to do that, and I will keep you posted. So if you've stayed along this far, thank you very much. And be sure to like and subscribe. And in the next day or two, you will see our next video on our visit, our advanced consultation appointment with Doman International. Thanks for watching. We gotta be careful though, okay? Go to the sidewalk. Okay, can you run to the mailbox?
Thank you. Okay, go all the way to the mailbox. Good job. Okay, run back to the house. Run back. Go to the backyard. You can go to the backyard. Okay, put the lid back on.